Hello.
Hi, online students. Welcome to ENG55 General Linguistics. I hope you have enjoyed the learning in week 1, right? So in this week's lesson, we will be talking about the course. If you have any questions, this is the right time for you to ask. And then we will be discussing the study of language. So that is to say, we will have a, overview of linguistics. Okay, I hope you will enjoy this lesson. First of all, let me briefly introduce myself. My name is Mimi Li. Mimi is actually my given name in Chinese. No? So that is to say, I was called Li Mimi in China, rather than Mimi Li. Did you notice the difference?
Li.
Yeah, so Mimi Li
Mimi.
versus Li Mimi. Right? If you are familiar with Chinese, we put the last name first, the first name last.
Nice.
Right? And also, look at that one. Did you see the tones? Li, Mi, Mi. Right? So Lena mentioned something about that, right? Did you notice that there is a tonal language?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Once I said that, especially vowels play a very important role in Chinese.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So for instance, like Li, this syllable can be pronounced with different tones, like Li, 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 Li. Right? And for me, we have Mi, 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 Mi. So the tone is different, then the meaning is different. That's the reason, it's a little bit hard for the foreigners to understand, say, what are you talking about? Because, each individual tones can definitely mean something different. A lot of jokes may happen, It's very interesting. I obtained my PhD study in second language acquisition and instructional technology from the University of South Florida. So my major research areas are second language writing and CAR. So do you know what CAR means? Computer Assisted Language Learning. CAR. Okay? So this is an acronym. So read about this acronym. Okay? Computer Assisted Language Learning. So I have already conducted a lot of core projects. For example, I explored wiki-based collaborative writing. I explored the term union-based peer response. Also, I conducted research on vocabulary learning using computer games. So these research studies have already been reported and published in multiple SSCI journals. For those of you who are not, familiar with SSCI, it means Social Science Citation Index journals. So it's kind of like renowned, journals out there, such as Journal of Second Language Writing, Language Learning Technology, Call, System, Computers in Education, etc. Okay? Next, my career. I started my teaching career back in 2002, in China. So this is my university. I used to work there, Sichuan Normal University. And then, having worked there for 6 years, I came to the United States and started my research career in Learning Research and Development Center at the University of Pittsburgh. I was very lucky to conduct a lot of research on, Chinese and foreign language acquisition, as well as, English as a second language acquisition. Okay, and then from there, I got highly motivated. Then I pursued my PhD study at the University of South Florida later. After my graduation, I worked as a visiting professor at Marshall University. Then I worked as a tenure-track assistant professor of applied linguistics at Georgia Southern University. In spring 2018, I'm quite new here, so I joined CAMUC as a tenure-track assistant professor of applied linguistics with a focus on TESOL. I'm very happy about that. I know the students are super, super motivated, and all the classes are amazing for me. See, this is me. Talking about my personal life, I like playing ping pong. Chinese people like playing ping pong. Okay, I like cooking, traveling, and of course staying with my sons. I have two sons. One is almost 10 years old, and the other one is just 4 months old. These two boys keep me super busy. Yeah. Okay, so it's your turn.
Okay.
If you guys want to introduce yourself, that would be wonderful. By the way, the online students have already been interacting online using the online cafe. But our face-to-face class, I'm thinking, we can definitely face-to-face, say discuss whatever you like.
Well, I'm Marie, and I've been married for almost 17 years. I have 3 kids, 12, 9, and 7.
Wow.
So life is pretty busy.
Yep.
We all went back to school because I used to homeschool. And before that, I was a middle school teacher in English.
Mhm.
And then I wanted to experiment with them, so I homeschooled them.
Cool.
And then last year in the fall, we all went to school, and we've adjusted pretty well, I think. This is my 2nd semester.
Uh-huh.
I'm pursuing my master's degree. Technically, my focus is English, but I'm thinking about switching over to linguistics. So I'm happy to
Wow,
be here.
good to know. Yeah, great. So, do you think that maybe you want to do even research, observation with your kids about the language acquisition?
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
yes. Like in my other class, I didn't know about the universal grammar.
That's right.
And I noticed that a lot because with my youngest, whenever he was just learning, to tattle on his brother, like he hit me, he would say he hitted me or something like that, where he was already, like he was hardwired to
That's
know how to form past,
Yeah.
what happened in the recent past, but, just not doing it correctly, but knowing that there was a rule there.
Specific grammatical rule,
So
right?
it's interesting.
Interesting, yeah. So, it's good to have kids, right?
It is good to have kids because I see it. I'm like, oh yeah,
Okay, makes sense. Cool. So you personally set a good example for your students, for your, the kids. Because now you're learning, you become more knowledgeable, right?
Uh-huh.
That's right.
Always
Cool.
growing.
So we have another classmate.
Okay, so my name is Reza. I'm from Iran. I came to the United States about 3 years ago. I used to live in Utah,
Cool.
in Provo, and I used to work in BYU I was working in the language center. I was teaching there Persian and also English to some people coming from other countries because they were converts, yes, trying to learn English. And then 6 months ago, I got married, and then because my wife, she's also a PhD student here, she's focusing on literature. That's what she's majoring on. So I came here, and this is my first semester.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
How guys can be together and pursue study together? That's amazing.
That's good.
I obviously survived. I obviously survived being separated with my family, because of my PhD, pursuit. It was totally disaster for me. But anyway, I survived. So I'm kind of a jealous of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so I would like you to, for sure, understand that this is a dual modality class. So that's to say, these online class students will definitely watch the, say, face-to-face lectures each week. If we have, basically, we will have, say, weekly lecture. We will meet here in Education South building at 2 o'clock, and then later, they will get a chance to view the class lecture, possibly on Wednesday, right, Maria? So Maria is helping us recording. Thank you. Okay. So usually the online students view our class lecture, and then they can comment. Say they can further, say express their ideas, their insights by using a student launch. So please take advantage of that online module, online students. You have student launch for you to submit your comments, your response, whatever ideas. Then later, when I reviewed all these comments, I can bring these questions, bring these insights here to the face-to-face class, we can discuss together. Okay, so ideally, we will try to develop this online learning community. Okay, meanwhile, we want to definitely have these two classes mutual scaffold. That is to say, the students actually benefit from those, the insights in another class, right? And the online students will definitely benefit, right? Okay, cool. By the way, each working week begins on Monday and ends on Sunday. So that is to say, officially, you need to work on Monday, right? However, for those students who are highly motivated, I have a lot of students who are highly motivated, they want to begin learning the course materials beforehand. So I release each module on Friday in the previous week. I think that would be helpful, right? I think that would be helpful if you have time, and you can go ahead and learn the next, week's materials on Friday. It's totally up to you, okay? However, I may want to address that the timeline is a little bit different. For the online students, you can definitely finish your required, materials by Wednesday. But for you, face-to-face class, I really hope that, those students need to finish their, readings at least before we meet, right? So then you get prepared, you join the discussion, and of course, that would be helpful for the online community. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I want to address this textbook. So have you checked your textbook already? I think you read chapter 2, right? Mm-hmm. We will be using this textbook, Introducing English Linguistics, written by Dr. Charles Meyer. Okay, so good thing is that you don't have to purchase it, right? So you can freely access the ebook through our university library. And also, Ms. Sarah Rosa was very kind to give us a short demo on how to access the book. So no question at all, right? You can directly find out. Read the book. Okay, good. Then later you will see there are a lot of common assignments we will do this semester, right? So I hope you will enjoy each individual. I try to keep balance. Some are more objective and some are more subjective. Okay. For instance, we have the online discussion, online quiz, and it's kind of like a sub-objective, and you need to complete 10 multiple choice questions or true or false questions for each quiz. You only get one attempt, okay? However, you will have 1 hour to complete these 10 questions. So I think the time is more than enough. However, I still encourage you to get prepared, read all the course contents, watch the video, online students, watch the class video, then get ready, and take the quiz. And the second one is chapter assignment. So chapter assignments give you the opportunity to demonstrate your knowledge in different branches of linguistics, right? Such as syntax, phonetics, phonology, grammatics, so on and so forth. Okay, and then you can see it can include fill in blanks questions as well as short answer questions. Okay, so those are for both face-to-face class as well as the online class. Also, I will be excited to introduce the third one, midterm creative project. I actually had this project last semester. Students were super excited about that. They are very happy that they conducted this research project, conducted this creative project. So here's what you want to do. You select a good topic. Okay, for example, we have already covered phonetics and phonology, morphology, and a little bit syntax by the midterm. And then you select a certain topic that interests you most. Then you use a certain technology tool and create a multi-model project, right? For example, some students, create a video talking about work thinking about phonetics. I want to share it. I have 3 very good, say samples here. You want to take a look?
All the English phonemes, all the English phonemes, all the English phonemes, all the English phonemes. English consonants have 6 plosives, 3 are voiced, 3 are voiceless. Articulators block airflow in the mouth and then release a burst of air. When the vocal folds are vibrating, it's a voiced consonant. If the vocal folds aren't vibrating, it's a voiceless consonant. P and B sounds are bilabial. T and D are alveolar. K and G sounds are velar. If you like them, then you should put a sound to them. P and B, lips together, T and D, tongue above the top teeth, K and G, tongue back to the velum. I got 3 nasal sounds, going through the nasal cavity. The soft palate will just stay put, M, N, and NG. Next come fricatives, the 9 fricatives with counterparts voiced and voiceless. We got 5 and vice, fin and this, zip, zip, ship, measure, hip. F and D are labiodental. The TH pair both dental. S and Z sounds are alveolar. Sh and J, well, they're postalveolar. And vocal folds make glottal H. F and V, upper teeth to lower lip, and the tongue tip to the upper teeth. S and Z, tongue above the top teeth. Sh and J, tongue tip to the back of the alveolar ridge. Next we have the affricates. One is voiced and one is voiceless. Tongue tip touch to the hard palate, making a pulse of fricative. Last we have approximants, all of which are voiced. The central 3 ripe yet and we, lateral L is lonely. This J and Ch are palatal, Y is also palatal. R and L are alveolar. W has 2 spots of articulation. Bilabial and velar. Oh 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 oh. Let's talk vowels. The English vowels with dialectal variation. The tongue goes high, low, front or back, making vowels closed or open. The vowel E is a close front vowel. The vowel U is a close back, cause when the tongue is high, it's a close vowel, and when the tongue is low, the vowel's open. We have E in feed and I in fit, then A in fade and N in pet. There's U in suit and sack, O in soak and in book. Oh, 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 oh. All in fought and all in caught, often merged. Then there's a in arrive. Don't forget in fun. And diphthongs like I in fight, ow in house, or oi in boy. Cause the English phonemes have a nice ring to them. Don't you think they have a ring to them? Don't be mad if you can't remember them. Cause the English phonemes have a nice ring to them. Don't you think they have a ring to them? Don't be mad if it takes a while to study them. Cause the English phonemes have a ring to them. Oh, 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 oh. All the English phonemes, 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 all the English phonemes.
Okay, this is impressive, huh?
Perfect.
Yeah, although there is still room for improvement for Shannon's work, basically I'm thinking it would be perfect if she would actually pronounce this IPA, International Phonetic Alphabet, directly. That would be perfect. For example, a little bit, say of this sound are not actually confirmed with this, IPA, but still, basically, this is amazing, right? Very creative, and try to, cover all this knowledge. Try to make sense, right? She tried to make sense all the knowledge in phonemes. So we can talk about the consonants as well as the, vowels, right? So you guys, let your imagination soar. Think about something that you can do. Another one here I want to share is something to do with the ebook. Have you ever heard of picture book using digital bird? It's like a digital story. Okay, wonderful. So take a look at this. Storybird is a good one for you to, develop an electronic book. So like this student, Jill, she bore her, granddaughter in mind, right? She creates this ebook for her granddaughter, telling about phonology, morphology, especially like the, word formation. Take a look at this. The title is Child's Journey with a Linguistics Bear. Okay, and then see, isn't that cool? So she addressed, okay, this is a linguist bear, and teaches something about phonetics, words, the graphemes and morphemes. Later we'll discuss this, right? And think about phonemes, the different phonemes here, and talk about, the root, stem, prefix, and suffix, right? This is something to do with morphology. Talked about the word formation, right? We have back formation, compound, acronym, blah, blah, blah. I gave a lot of good examples. Okay. So the last page. Okay, isn't that cool? Next one I would share with you is a word creation Texas edition by Karen. She actually used the Adobe Illustrator, I believe, Adobe Photoshop. This is not online, however, still creative, very creative. You don't have to use something online, you don't have to use the online technology. Whatever technology that you like, try to be creative. Make sense of what you have learned in linguistics. Okay, see, take a look. Acronym, the definition, then Texas edition, NASA, right? So, affixation, definition, example, and a lot of good, powerful videos here too. See, like lace, lazy, right? Okay, this is back formation. Then something else, like blends, Tex-Mex. Okay, borrowing, salsa, right? And compounding, cowboy snowman, okay? And something else, borrowing, tamale, is that right? Then something else. So a lot of different types of word formation here. Then what is the definition? And then she gave an example, especially those examples particularly address Texas features, right? Okay, that's interesting, huh? Okay, now you want to prepare somewhat in the very beginning, right? Whenever you read something interesting, then you may think about your creative project, right? And in the middle of this semester, you will have a wonderful project. Okay, the last one is the final exam. The final exam consists of some multiple choice questions, true or false questions, as well as some short answer questions. Okay, so once again, it will be timed. So we will have a certain time, but still it is open booked. Okay. You can check whatever resources you need. Any questions so far about the course? So the last thing is about the due date. So basically, all the assignments will be due Sunday midnight, 11:59. Okay? So for online students, you don't need to have this online discussion task at all. No, because you come here, you discuss together with me and with your classmates. Then you're done. But for online students, please do the online discussion tasks. 2 deadlines. The first one is initial post. So that's to say, you need to respond to the discussion prompts I give you by Thursday midnight. Then you come back and review the posts over there. You need to comment on at least the 3 classmates' posts. Okay, so that specific part is called peer response part. So that part is due Sunday midnight. Okay, you guys will be familiar with this because especially for online class, this online discussion task will be amazing. It will, you will see a lot of scaffolding that will occur. Okay, before we get started talking about linguistics, any other questions about the course assignment, course requirements, or the syllabus, whatever?
Thank you. You laid everything, I think, clear. Thank you. No, thank you.
Oh, good. I'm so happy to hear that.
Everything seems clear right now.
Okay, so my expectation is clear too, right? Okay, wonderful. Okay, let's move on. Linguistics. What is linguistics?
Study of languages.
Good. The scientific study of language. Here, think about 2 questions. Language. Do you think language is distinctive for human being? Animals have languages?
I think no, they have just some maybe. They are just some fixed. Yes. I don't know what to call them. Fixed signs? No, not signs. That's just they used to communicate. So we cannot call it a language.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you don't think there is a lot of flexibility?
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
They cannot create the
Exactly.
new versions, right?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree. They communicate, but I don't think it's a language because they don't communicate like, humans do, where I think the video that you had posted on how, some of the sentences that we string together can be used, that might be the first time it's ever been strung together. And so we are able to create phrases and sentences, whereas, the animal don't do that.
Exactly. Good beginning. So we will definitely discuss this. Do animals have language? I will have a video for you, okay? And another question we want to ask. Do you think linguistics is a science?
In my opinion, yeah, it's a science.
Yes. Look at the definition, right? So scientific study of language. It must be different from the inquiry of the literature. What do you think? Right?
I think
Your wife actually,
Yeah.
is in literature, right? So we will know there are huge difference between linguistics and literature. But of course, you can find some, say mutual scaffolds, right? But it is totally different. I mean, different approach to analyze because we have the scientific approach. Later, I'll show you how.
we break down the language, but they never do that.
That's right. Yes. But there is actually a good one. They even use linguistic approach to analyze the discourse, to analyze their literature, right? So this is also very fun and very, enlightening. Now, let us take a look at this video.
All animals communicate. Crabs wave their claws at each other to signal that they're healthy and ready to mate. Cuttlefish use pigmented skin cells called chromatophores to create patterns on their skin that act as camouflage or warnings to rivals. Honeybees perform complex dances to let other bees know the location and quality of a food source. All of these animals have impressive communication systems. but do they have language? To answer that question, we can look at 4 specific qualities that are often associated with language: discreteness, grammar, productivity, and displacement. Discreteness means that there is a set of individual units, such as sounds or words, that can be combined to communicate new ideas. Like a set of refrigerator poetry magnets you can rearrange to create different phrases. Grammar provides a system of rules that tells you how to combine those individual units. Productivity is the ability to use language to create an infinite number of messages. And displacement is the ability to talk about things that aren't right in front of you, such as past, future, or fictional events. So, does animal communication exhibit any of these qualities? For crabs and cuttlefish, the answer is no. They don't combine their signals in creative ways. Those signals also don't have to be in a grammatical order. And they only communicate current conditions, like I am healthy or I am poisonous. But some animals actually do display some of these properties. Bees use the moves, angle, duration, and intensity of their waggle dance to describe the location and richness of a food source. That source is outside the hive, so they exhibit the property of displacement. They share that language trait with prairie dogs, which live in towns of thousands and are hunted by coyotes, hawks, badgers, snakes, and humans. Their alarm calls indicate the predator's size, shape, speed, and even for human predators, what the person is wearing and if he's carrying a gun. Great apes like chimps and gorillas are great communicators too. Some have even learned a modified sign language. A chimpanzee named Washoe demonstrated discreteness by combining multiple signs into original phrases, like please open, hurry. Coco, a female gorilla who understands more than 1,000 signs and around 2,000 words of spoken English, referred to a beloved kitten that had died. In doing so, she displayed displacement, though it's worth noting that the apes in both of these examples were using a human communication system, not one that appeared naturally in the wild. There are many other examples of sophisticated animal communication, such as in dolphins, which use whistles to identify age, location, names, and gender. They can also understand some grammar in a gestural language researchers use to communicate with them. However, grammar is not seen in the dolphin's natural communication. While these communication systems may have some of the qualities of language we've identified, none display all 4. Even Washoe and Coco's impressive abilities are still outpaced by the language skills of most 3-year-old humans. And animals' topics of conversation are usually limited. Bees talk about food, prairie dogs talk about predators, and crabs talk about themselves. Human language stands alone due to the powerful combination of grammar and productivity on top of discreteness and displacement. The human brain can take a finite number of elements and create an infinite number of messages. We can craft and understand complex sentences, as well as words that have never been spoken before. We can use language to communicate about an endless range of subjects, talk about imaginary things, and even lie. Research continues to reveal more and more about animal communication. It may turn out that human language and animal communication aren't entirely different, but exist on a continuum. After all, we are all animals.
See? Now we believe, right? So the animals definitely have some communication systems. Some of them are very sophisticated, right? But we do not call them language, right? Did you notice that there are some important features? Yeah. What are the features? What are the terms?
Well,
Okay, come on.
displacement,
Good.
there's no displacement or grammar rules
Yeah.
or grammatical order,
That's right.
usually.
Good. So here I will introduce 4 here. Some of them have already been discussed in the video, but some others are not. Let us take a look. So first of all, you should know the language actually is arbitrary. How can you understand it is arbitrary? Language is arbitrary.
There is no relationship between the form and the way that it is sound.
Wonderful. Very good answer. So arbitrary means that the form actually has no direct connection to the meaning, right? I'll give you an example. If I say hello when I meet you, right? And I say hello in English, right? If I greet another person who does not know English, who knows just Chinese, then I say 你好, right, in Chinese. For example, like you say hola in Spanish, bonjour in French. Are there any like connections between these individual sounds with the meaning? No. Right? We agree, right? Another example. If you take a look at this animal, everybody knows this is a cat, right? But in different languages, we have different forms and we have different sounds to refer to this animal, right?
Yeah.
It's quite arbitrary. Maybe the other day, in the past, we might call the cat a dog, right? Who knows? So this is arbitrary. Do you think there are some exceptions? Are there anything like maybe there's a connection?
Yeah.
For example,
the word his, H-I-S-S.
oh, good one, good one. Why do you feel like his is you can find a little bit connection? Why?
Because of the sound, they have interpreted the sound. So maybe it's a bit, I think this is very limited.
Very good, very good, very, very limited, right? So how about one
Exactly.
X and a piece? To show what? What is the meaning?
To be quiet. Huh?
Right? Like
A snake.
you was
Oh,
saying,
snake.
right?
Yeah.
Do you think so? Be quiet, wonderful. What? Still. Still, right?
Mhm.
Quiet and quick. Is that right? So that is what we call phony thing, right? So when you read the book chapter, you know that is called phony thing. So I remember there are some examples for this phony thing. Yeah, shh, right? Shh sound is addressed in our textbook. Like bash, crash, slash, right? All these refer to the rapid motion. Very rapid, quick. Is that right? However, this cannot apply to every instance, right? For example, if we talk about shh sound, we have fish, we have fish. How can you understand that? We cannot say it has nothing to do with the rapid motion. Is that right? So still, we believe it is arbitrary. One more thing. There are definitely some connections between the sound and the meaning. These are onomatopoeias. Onomatopoeias, right? Do you know this one? For example, we have meow, the sound of the cat. We have woof, the sound of the dog, right? So these sounds exactly resemble, right, meaning of other period. Oh, okay, you know, that is the sound of a certain animal. Is that correct?
Yep.
So again, as Rita mentioned earlier, just it covers. It is only a very little tiny portion of the whole language system, right? So we still believe, basically, language is arbitrary. Do you agree? Good. How about second one? Displacement. People can talk about things or events that are not present. So here I mean not only present spatially, but also present temporarily. Now let us go back to the dancing bees. So it is addressed in our video. Dancing bees, remember, bees can communicate quite well, right? Do you think they talk about something that are present, that are not present? The bees talk about something that are not present?
Like the flowers, the.
Exactly, they're not present,
It's
right?
not present.
But think about that. Still, that is not present spatially, not present temporally. Does it make sense? So for example, they cannot talk about something that happened before, They cannot talk about what will happen in the future, right? We human beings can even talk about something imaginary, or even we can tell lies, which is definitely against the reality, right? So displacement is distinctive, right? For human language. Do you think so? So once again, here displacement means they cannot talk about things, the animals cannot talk about things or events that are not present, both spatially and temporally, right? So in our video, you can notice that this first one is addressed. Spatial presence is addressed, but temporal presence is not addressed, right? So here we should know, now displacement is also a distinctive feature of human being, because animals may not talk about something that will happen in the future. They cannot talk about something that is wrong or that is imaginary. We try to find a lot of different pieces for evidence to show that our theory is correct, right? Linguists love to have a lot of data, analyze the data, formulate the hypothesis, then modify the hypothesis. This is a scientific way, and later you'll see it. The cultural transmission. Children can learn to speak the language used in the environment in which they are reared. Do you agree? So I was reared in China, so I acquired Chinese easily when I was a toddler, right? So usually we call acquire rather than learn our mother language, right? So they were exposed to the environment, and then we pick up language easily, right? Not like foreign language, we learn, we acquire, right? Yes, so this is called cultural transmission. But also we have the cultural heritage transmitted as well. Productivity. What does it mean? Speakers make new meanings by producing new expressions and utterances. So once again, as Maria mentioned earlier, we seem to speak totally different from time to time, right? We know the rules, and then we create a lot of sentences. Maybe we create each individual discourse every day newly, right? Okay, so this is productivity. Look at these words. These are relatively newly created words, right? When we feel like we need a certain words to express new meanings, then we come up with new words. New words are created every day, and we are encouraged to create new words. After we finish the morphology section, and then you will be given a chance to create your own words by say drawing on our knowledge in word formation, right? That would be really fun. So you know some of them, right? Okay. Hotness, hyperlocal. We have something hyperlocal here in Texas, maybe, right?
What is hyperlocal?
Hyperlocal means that you definitely have something that is strictly narrowed to this area. People from other countries, from other areas cannot understand it. It's hyperlocal. Yeah? Where can you find these answers? If you have some ideas, if you do not know the meaning of a certain union, pointing word, which dictionary do you use?
The urban.
That's right. I find it is helpful. Don't you think so? I think you can find a lot of answers about a lot of new words in Urban Dictionary. But anyway, I encourage you to check Webster first, right? But Urban Dictionary definitely tells us a lot. The other day, when I tried to give my son, my second son, 4 months old, the name, and I checked Urban Dictionary, they have a lot. They even talk about how this specific name can associate with a certain characters, with a certain even the appearance, the image. That's so interesting. Even like what specific say persons will like your style. It's very interesting. You have tons of information in our dictionary, right? So that's fun because we linguists want to explore the languages, right? And we can see exactly how the new language are created and how they are used. Now, next one. Language is a very important part of our semiotic system. How can you understand it? We have a lot of science in semiotic system, right? But language is most important, at least, say, important parts of the semiotic system, right? According to Swiss linguist, who is the founding father of linguistics? Who? Saussure. This guy, Saussure. Yeah, according to him, by the way, he published a course in general linguistics in 1916. He becomes a founding father of linguistics. Okay, so you know now, meaning in semiotic systems is expressed by science, right? For example, the particular form of a sign, here I mean phonemes as well as graphics, is called signifier. And the meaning that the signifier conveys is called signified. Is that clear? Maybe it's a little bit abstract, right? Now, I'll give you the example. Okay, Chinese here. By the way, we will be exposed to some other languages in addition to English, right? So we want to compare and we'll do some good examples so that for you to develop your competence in linguistic analysis. So here, which part is called signifier?
The sign.
Which one?
Yes.
Yes, the characters.
Characters.
The two characters is phoneme or graphic. Graphic, that's right. Also, we have 你好, 拼音, 你好. Here's I can learn Chinese, can read Chinese. Good, 你好. Right? It is phonemes. So we call both 你好 and the two characters signify, right? Signifier. So what is signified though? The meaning.
Yeah, they signify the meaning.
Meaning. So what's the meaning? What's the meaning of 你好?
Hello.
Hello. That's right. Very good. So you got it, right? Another linguist I want to mention is actually American linguist. He's a renowned American linguist, but now he seems to be more involved in politics. Who's this person? That's right, Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky created the generative grammar. Okay, generative grammar is a, kind of like still a little bit controversial still, but most people believe it, right? We believe that our language is kind of like hardwired, right, in our brain. So for him, language is mainly a property of human mind. So that is to say, the knowledge of the language is part of the speaker's linguistic competence. So for example, from the finite set of the rules within the speaker's competence, an infinite set of sentences can be generated. So it seems like we have universal grammar somewhere hidden in our brain. So here is a good important notion here. That is universal grammar. So just now we discussed this, right? So universal grammar believes that humans are born with an innate capacity for language. Some rules of grammar are hardwired into the brain. The innate knowledge of grammar serves as a basis for all language acquisition. Do you agree? We actually will discuss it later in the second language acquisition class. Some students, try to debate, try to, say, even give some, say some different examples. What do you think?
I mean, I've seen that kind of play out with my son.
That's right. You have evidence.
Tries to invoke some, rules of grammar.
That's right.
Trying to go into past tense, even though it's kind of
fun. That's right.
But his brain is going along the right path to communicate. So.
And you didn't teach, right? You didn't teach him.
No.
That's it. So
he acquires it.
That's right. This is widely accepted. So that's the reason I believe it. I believe this theory.
Is it
Yeah.
widely accepted?
Yeah, it is
It is
accepted.
widely
I do think so.
Exactly. When I was back home, yes, I had two siblings. They were twins. Sometimes they used maybe just two-word sentences that I was sure they had never heard of that at home. Yes, but they made that sentence.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So once again, creativity and productivity, which seems to have some grammatical rule or universal grammar, hardware. That's right. So again, if you are interested in language acquisition, we actually have this course, second language acquisition. I believe Dr. Pickering is teaching that course, right? Good. So next one. The next linguist I want to introduce is Michael Halliday. Have you ever heard of?
Yeah, holiday. Yeah.
Yes. His theoretical
He
here.
talks about semantics.
That's right. That's right. So systemic functional grammar
Yeah.
is also a renowned theory here. So think about Chomsky's generative grammar. Do you think that it applies to the syntax? It does not go beyond the sentence level. Does it make sense? So that is to say, for example, in our section of, for example, syntax, right? If we learned the chapter of syntax, and then we know we can do the tree diagrams in order for our students to understand the internal structure of a sentence. But it cannot go beyond. If we talk about the language use in a context, no, right? So here is semantic function grammar. According to Halliday, language is a communicative tool. Exists to satisfy as the communicative needs of the users. So we talk about the language use. So most famous part of this theory are the three meta functions. Have you ever heard of them? Ideational, interpersonal, as well as textual. Any thought? I give you the definition here, right? Ideational. So the language is used for us to construct a model of our experience, right? For example, we can talk about something that just happened. In a textbook, we have an example, like I broke it. I broke the window, right? I broke something. So I'm talking about the experience that happened just now, right? Also, you can talk about your experience, even you can talk about the imaginary world. So that is called ideational. In the next slide, I'll give you some more examples, okay? But here, you should know, okay, this is something to do with ideational. Then how about interpersonal? That is self-explanatory, right? Interpersonal, right? We use language to enact our social relationship. For example, I say, everyone should remember you need to submit your assignment by Sunday midnight, right? So I say this to enact the social relationship. I'm the professor, you are the student, right? I have the request, I have the requirement, you follow it, right? Also, we have a lot of speech acts, right? You greet each other, you say acknowledge somebody's success, you congratulate it, you say debate, you disagree with somebody, these belong to interpersonal. How about the next one? Textual. Textual focus on the discourse, right? The relevance to the context. What we mention most is about cohesion. Cohesion. So you have a specific, flow of thoughts. You want to be coherent, right? And you also use some cohesive devices in order to have a glue to, connect this sentence with other sentences to make it as a coherent system. Does it make sense? Yeah. So these actually are influential. I'll give you more examples. Ideational. It can address the material process. For example, you say, I broke the window. I broke this verb to show this behavior, right? And also I address the window, right? So that is your experience once again, right? Also, it can address the mental process. The key word here is feel, your mental. I feel this class is fun. I hope you feel linguistics is really fun, right? Your mental process. Relational process. We talked about something belong to somebody, right? This car is mine. This car is hers. A relational process. So, and the another example, existential process. So there are 20 students in this class. Okay, there are 2 face-to-face students in this class, right? So these are some examples. But actually, Hannity gave us a long list. Apart from material, mental, relational, and existential, it has something more. So I just give you some of there for you to understand. These are specific examples of what the ideational function means. I'll give you another example to show how cohesion works. So textual once again, address discourse, okay? So this cohesion can be referencing. For example, you can say, this is my textbook, and that is yours. The yours, right, means your book. This is very here the cohesive device is used here. The substitution. I think linguistics is really fun. Maybe someone say, I don't think so, right? And then so, once again, that is substitution. Substitute the whole class. I don't think that linguistics is fun, right? But I believe all the students here, online students, that you think linguistics is fun. So you think so, okay? Conjunction. A lot of translations, right? Belongs to conjunction. Moreover, therefore, accordingly, nevertheless, okay? And also lexical cohesion. So we will talk about synonym, antonyms, and hypernyms in our semantics chapters, okay? And we will learn a lot about those, knowledge. Is linguistics a science? Yes, linguistics is a science. Why? Linguists examine their subject matter language objectively. So this is definitely based on a lot of evidence. And objectively is a really important word for us to understand. That is not subjective, that is objective. Okay. Scientific method. Linguists do follow the scientific methods. Here is how. The linguists formulate a hypothesis based on available data. So you collected a lot of data, right? And you formulate your hypothesis. Is that enough? No, that is just the initial stage. You should always prove that this hypothesis is holds water, is true, right? So you're checking the validity of the hypothesis against new data, right? Tons of data. If you find a certain data that definitely do not confirm with your hypothesis, what would you do? Then you
You're gonna have to reformulate your
reformulate your hypothesis. That's right. Until finally you feel, oh, my theory cannot be proven wrong. Have you ever heard of falsibility? Falsibility. It can never be proven wrong. If you cannot prove that this is right, you cannot prove this is what? Not wrong. Then we know I'm good. I can develop this hypothesis. Then I develop my theory. Is that clear? Then, don't you think this is just like hard science? Right? It's really a hard science.
That's why it differs from literature because it's so subjective and you can translate it or you can interpret it differently.
That's right.
Based on the reader, how you're reading it from your worldview, but it's the scientific method, it's objective.
That's right. That's right. That is how literature is a little bit different, right? Or you can see a huge difference, right? That's right. You know, if you are interested, you definitely are encouraged to check a lot of journal articles in linguistics. For example, you will see how these specific methods are applied, you know, say in linguistic studies, right? I encourage students to read seminar articles, read the journal articles as early as possible. And then you are sure now, okay, you agree, linguistics is a science. And what is a scientific way for you to conduct research, right? Someday you can collect your own data and you can formulate your hypothesis and then try to, you know, develop a theory. Here. Maria discussed with me earlier, say, let us think about something. We actually have a lot of misconceptions about linguistics. Here I want to show you two. The first one, linguists. Linguists are fluent in many languages. Do you think linguists are polyglots or not? They are polyglots. They know everything. They know at least 5 languages, or at least 3 languages. What do you think?
Those are, as you said, they are myths, they are not true.
Yeah, you're clever. How? Because the linguists focus on the analysis of the language system, right? I would say, if you know a lot of language, that would definitely be a plus. Because when you compare these different languages, it helps you understand the comparison, understand the similarities and dissimilarities. That was super helpful. However, you don't have to be polyglots, right? For me, I speak Chinese, English, and know a little bit French. Then, still, I'm a linguist, right? I consider myself more of an applied linguist, right? But still, no, I'm a linguist. You don't have to learn a lot of language in order to be a linguist. Otherwise, or vice versa, you may become a linguist first, and then you learn more languages, right? You feel like, oh, I need to learn a lot of language in order to have even better, research in my field. That's interesting, right? Okay, how about second one? Linguists correct or criticize how people talk.
If that linguist is a purist, maybe, but
Do you think linguists actually criticize, correct how people talk?
I think they study it, observe it, and then study how that is, they're using how they're using the language for their own ends.
So they try to observe and describe how language is used in certain contexts, right? Right? But do you think they also find out maybe how the linguistic norms will work in certain contexts? It makes sense too, right? Now, this leads to our discussion about prescriptivism versus descriptivism. So these terms are discussed in our chapter again, right? So for prescriptivists, the goal is to prescribe usage. So that is to say, we try to identify so-called correct and incorrect instances of language usage and tell people how they should speak and write. By the way, I will actually upload all these slides to our site, okay? If you want to take notes, go ahead. You don't have to be busy taking notes. Yeah, but anyway, for me, I want to take notes. I like to. I form the habit of thinking while taking notes. Right? They tell people how they should speak and write. So if this approach is adopted, we call it prescriptive. Okay, prescriptivist. Opposite one, descriptivist. For descriptivists, the goal is to describe how language is used and not to place value judgments on particular instances of language use. The key word here is judgment. We do not want to judge according to their languages, right? Some people will say, oh, you can never use such language. It is highly uneducated. What approach do we take?
That's prescriptive.
Then how about our textbook? Did you realize that Dr. Meyer mentioned that he tries to take which approach?
The descriptivism.
Descriptives, that's right. So basically here, I would say, in this class, you will see a lot of descriptivist approach rather than the prescriptive approach, right? But can we see that there's no use at all for prescriptive? Does this specific approach play a certain role? What do you think?
Well, is that where we get like the grammar rules?
A little
How we're
bit.
supposed
Uh-huh.
to,
Yeah.
string our words along, like in Chinese.
That's right.
You put usually your surname or your last name at the beginning,
Uh-huh.
or first name at the end. It's like it's a rule. So would that be considered?
I cannot say like the descriptive list actually does not address rules, but descriptive sometimes observe rules as well, right? They also observe. They try to observe what happens, how language works, right? They just do not judge, right? But for the prescriptive, I give you an example. The example in academic writing, right? Do you think that there are some specific linguistic features that are actually avoided?
Like you don't use contractions
Exactly.
when you're writing
Exactly.
your essay.
Don't you think so? It is still somewhat helpful, right? But that, once again, that is something to do with the language norms in a certain genre or certain context. Does it make sense?
Yes, because it's considered lazy, if you use
That's right.
contractions, and I never.
Exactly. So I'm not sure whether you really read the book very closely. There are two terms. One is called reactional prescriptivism. The other is informed prescriptivism. Did you notice that?
Was it the reactional prescriptivists are the ones that
That's right.
kind of tear people down and be like,
That's right.
they're ruining the language?
That's right. Exactly. That's it. Right? But here, informed prescriptive plays a certain role, important role in language teaching, or even say policy making. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, you can have a lot of different understanding, and we are actually open to whatever thoughts you have. So once again, online students, you are welcome to use the student launch to discuss, these points. So once again, all these slides will be uploaded to our course site, possibly this evening. Okay, if you do not see, and you will see it tomorrow. Okay, our lecture, our recorded video will also be uploaded tomorrow. Right? Okay, so let us think about the questions here. What do we say? Study the linguistic. What are the questions that drove our inquiry? So these are some questions for linguists. What is language? How are words formed? How are sounds produced? Is the sound of a word related to its meaning? Is there a universal grammar? How are language comprehended? How do we do things with words? Right? And a lot of, other questions. So, drawing on these questions, we may understand the different branches of linguistics. Okay, so these different branches help us understand the different questions you may ask, right? For example, if we ask about the sounds, so we have the phonetics and phonology. What is phonetics? Phonetics is to study the ways speech sounds are produced and perceived. And phonology more addresses the patterns of the sounds. Okay, like the syllable, like the intonation, suprasegmental features. Okay, we'll see next week. Okay, then the second important branch is called morphology. Morphology is to study the ways the words of a language are structured and how they are made up of smaller useful units. For example, we talked about the word formation. Just now you saw, right, some sample there for students' multi-model creative work. Then they talked about the different ways of word formation. Then that goes to morphology. We have another branch that is called syntax. Syntax is to study the structure of sentences and phrases. Then you will draw the beautiful tree diagrams. Semantics is to study the aspects of meaning that are encoded by words and grammar. So here, semantics focuses on meaning, but pragmatics is broader. That's right. How to use the language, especially in the context. Okay? So for example, you say something, but you do not mean it, right? Sometimes we just feel like, what do you mean, right? Well, we'll see. Then later we also have a video from Big Bang Theory. Humor occurs. Say when we purposefully violate the cooperative principles. You say something, and then you actually have some other humorous effect. Right? That is the use of language in a context. Right? Sometimes I want you to close the door. I feel cold here, right? So I may not say, could you please close the door for me? I just feel, I feel chilly here, right? And then what would you do, right? You do not repeat, you do not answer, or I say, do you feel you are chilly? Do you feel you're cold? You do not say, oh yes, I feel cold. In addition to that, you do what? You do things, you actually perform, right? Okay, you use language to perform. You definitely close the door for me. Does it make sense? So I think pragmatics is also very interesting, field. Phonology, phonetics, morphology, syntax, semantics, pragmatics, all these will be covered in our course. Okay? So next week, phonetics. Okay, you'll see. Check your course calendar. Check your course schedule. In the beginning and in the end of our syllabus, you'll see exactly how this, course will be laid out. Okay, next one. If we talked about the bigger branches of linguistics, or in other words, we can call it applied linguistics, right? Then we talk about sociolinguistics, psycholinguistics, or language acquisition. So what is psycholinguistics? Psycholinguistics is to study psychological factors that enable people to use, comprehend, and produce language. So remember, I actually shared with you Steve Pink's video, right? Talk about how linguistics can help us understand the mind, right? So actually he is a cognitive, psychologist. So you can see the psycholinguistic is a, multidisciplinary, and you definitely want to have some knowledge in that area as well. So you will definitely, broaden the horizon if you take the course in, psycholinguistics. Also, we have future courses in sociolinguistics, right? Sociolinguistics is to study language in relation to social factors, such as religion, your region, the class, the gender, the age, the occupation, and bilingualism. A lot of topics. I'm actually teaching this course this semester, right? Okay, that is really a very fun course too. The third one, language acquisition. So it is more addressing how children acquire the first language, and also how adults learn the second or foreign language. Okay, that is language acquisition. We have the course as well. So you have a lot to learn. We offered all these courses, and you can take them in the future. Any other questions about linguistics, branches of linguistics? So what I suggest is that from now on, you learn each individual branches, well, and then you figure out what would be the interesting topic for you. Then you narrow down your topic and then you do some research like a linguist. You collect the data, right? Begin as a linguist, you collect some data, try to formulate your hypothesis, and then test your hypothesis. Next, linguistics has an important role. Why? Because it has already had impact on multiple fields, such as education, anthropology, sociology, cognitive psychology, philosophy, computer science, and neurosciences, right? Also, regarding language as a mirror of mind, linguists aim to not simply understand how language is structured and how it functions, but also understand more about the process of human thought. This is so helpful, right? We use language, then we try to connect the language with our thought and our mind. Okay, so I believe that you learn, say I uploaded this, this video, linguistics as a window to understanding the brain. Okay? I encourage you to, say watch it, and then of course comment on it if you like. After you see these two words, what is the first one? Have you ever seen this word before? I'll give you a hint. This is a blend. Blend means you take one letter, especially the first letter of a word, and then combine with the part or whole of another word. Me. Right? That is pronounced me. I actually learned this word from my son. When he was 6 years old, he watched the Cartoon Network. And then I remember he told me the other day, "You are not me, you are me." Me versus me. Can you get me? It must be something, right? What plus me? No. He'd love to say, "Oh, this teacher is so..." If they feel good about the teacher, they say, "Oh, she's nice."
Yeah, nice and mean.
Yeah. And then me.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, we are not cool. 'Cause I did not get that.
You cannot always come cool. You will be cool. So me, nice and me. Interesting, right? So this is a word formation, right? So how about the second one? Finish. Can you guess? Why is this she?
When you're finished with your PhD.
Yeah, that's right. Especially when you feel like, oh, that is so hard. Say it's a really say kind of like a hard process, and then you always say, "Finally, I'm finished." Right? A PhD. So you finish your dissertation, you finish your thesis. That is not an easy process. Finish. Then I want to share with you this. This is actually really good discussion forum called Finished. It's a discussion forum. See? They have forum, not FORUM, instead they have PH, right? ORUM, and they have finally finished. Finally, PH again, right? So this is a really good forum because it can like put together all the students who are struggling with the early process of the say dissertation writing, whatever. They help each other. Anyway, I actually didn't use this one. I was definitely highly motivated. I tried to get it done as soon as possible. But one of my former colleagues actually was a member here. She benefited a lot from this community. Right.
Food and fitness.
That's right. This is their, say, discussion forum. See, you can create your own words. So their say community is called PH Finish D, right? So what do you think this is which branch does this go to? Which branch? We talked about the smaller units, right, of the language.
Morphology.
Morphology. Morphology. Yes. How about this? We kind of discussed this just now, right? So although we believe language is arbitrary, right? But there are a few, instances that we can feel, there are some connections between a sound and a meaning, right? Okay, we discussed this already, right? It might mean quick and silent, right? Or quiet. How about this? Do you like Big Bang Theory?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Sheldon is awesome.
Yeah. A lot of laughter whenever I, say, watch this. Now I want to show you the video that actually tell how the humorous effect can arise because of what? Because of a violation of cooperative principle. So to give you some background information, cooperative principle means that we humans should follow a certain rules in order to communicate well. For example, the quality should be good, right? We don't want to say something wrong, right? The quality should be good. The quantity should be good. We could not say something so long or too more information are given. That's not good. We just need to give enough, but not too much information, right? That is called quantity principle. Also, we want to have good manners, right? Or good relation, right? So, some weak manners would be bad. Does it make sense? So actually here, the video shows us how the violation of these cooperative principles can, bring us a lot of laughter. Let's see.
So I was doing some checking on the ring.
Hold on, Sheldon, is that ketchup on the table?
Yes, there is. But here's a fun fact. Ketchup started out as a general term for sauce, typically made of mushrooms or fish brine with herbs and spices. Some popular early main ingredients included blueberry, anchovy, oyster, kidney bean, and grape.
No, that's okay, I'll get it.
Leonard, a moment.
What?
If someone, and of course we don't know who this would be, does ask where you've gone, what should I say?
I don't know. Just tell him I went to the office.
Are you going to the office?
No.
Well, then how can I say it convincingly?
Just say Leonard went to the office.
All right. Leonard went to the office.
No, not like that. Just Leonard went to the office.
This would have worked out a lot better if you just told me you were going to the office.
I'm going to the office.
See, why don't I believe you? Doesn't anyone want to know where he's going?
Okay, where is he going?
Leonard is going to the office. Penny, are you experiencing some sort of difficulty?
Yes, I can't get my stupid door open.
You appear to have put your car key in the door lock. Are you aware of that?
Yeah.
All right, then.
Damn it.
Would it be possible for you to do this a little more quietly?
I can't get the damn key out.
It's not surprising. That Baldwin lock on your door uses traditional edge-mounted cylinders, whereas the key for your Volkswagen uses a center cylinder system.
Thank you, Sheldon.
You're welcome. Point of inquiry, why did you put your car key in the door lock?
Why? I'll tell you why. Because today I had an audition. It took me 2 hours to get there. I waited an hour for my turn, and before I could even start, they told me I looked too Midwest for the part. Too Midwest? What the hell does that even mean?
Well, the American Midwest was mostly settled by Scandinavian and Germanic people. They have a characteristic facial.
I know what I mean, Sheldon! God! You know,
I want to build a road, but I need wood. Either of you fellas have wood? I don't understand the laughter. The object of Settlers of Catan is to build roads and settlements. To do so requires wood. Now, I have sheep. I need wood. Who has wood for my sheep? Now, where were we? Oh, yes. Does anyone have any wood? Come on. I just want wood. Why are you making it so hard? And now that I have some wood, I'm going to begin the erection of my settlement.
He's going to be doing this on purpose.
Now, back to our game.
You were in the middle of an erection?
Oh, of course, it's right here in my hand.
See? So actually, I would suggest that you guys think about how you can analyze humor in different, say TV series like soap opera. I actually published a paper in Chinese when I was a student before, when I was in China about humor in print. So that was long ago, but I think that was a really good beginning because you try to apply all these linguistic rules, right? So in the actual analysis of the, say events or the, say something that happened to your, to you so closely, daily, right? So that would be fun, right? So then which branch does this go to? Which branch of linguistics? Phonetics, phonology, morphology, syntax, semantics, pragmatics.
Okay, I can put syntax and semantics.
Exactly, right? So because it addresses meaning, of course, right? And also it talks about the study of language use in the context, right? Very good. Wonderful. Okay, do you want to comment on this one? We have a lot of good examples for you to, say, discuss in that chapter. Now, we switch to the review of the book. So this is what I want to do. I really don't want to represent everything in our textbook. I try to highlight those important parts. I even add something new to our lecture. I believe that would be very helpful, right? However, I still want to address our textbook. So now, we want to discuss the holistic view of chapter 1. This is a chart. I'm so happy that I found this one. Actually, this discusses all these good, important terminologies addressed in chapter 1. We'll see. Now, if you take a look at the first 9 semiotic systems, we know language is a part of the semiotic system. Second, language can be a good sign. Then we talked about the Swiss linguist Saussure's theory. Sign. Then another important term is signifier versus signifier. Yeah, right? Signifier refers to the form. Or we call what? We can call phoneme, right? Then how about signified meanings, right? So form or say I would say grapheme or phonemes are called signifiers, right? The meaning is called signifier. Is that right? Now, the form can be arbitrary, but for small amount of occasions, you might see form can be iconic, right? But again, the majority of those instances are actually arbitrary. Is that correct? Now, how about the second one? Anyone want to explain that? Sign consists of at least two here, right? Language and gestures, and something else, right? So that is to say there are multiple parts of semiotic system, not only language, but also gestures, even dress, right? Art, music, animal communications, right? Anything else? Anything else you can think of sign? Think about the online discussion, the chat.
The emoji.
Emoji, right? Use emoji or emoticon sometimes we call emoticon.
Emoji.
Use like the punctuations, right? Emoji, like the
Yeah.
picture, right? That is a part of science. Is that right? Good. Then let us focus on the left part, language. How many modes are discussed in our textbook? Three. That's right. Speech, writing, and signing. Of course, the signing definitely focus on, say those sign language for the disabled, right? So here we focus on speech and writing here. So speech and writing. So we actually argue, is speech primary versus, say like writing is secondary. It's kind of controversial, right? So we can say speech is important, right? But we cannot say that writing is not as important as speech. Right? So actually, these are discussed in your textbook. Then continue with that, we have analysis of the modes. So if we talk about speech, we talk about writing, we definitely want to consider the rules and the principles. So these are important now because rules actually have such features, while principles have some other features. For example, if we talk about rules, we are thinking of grammar, grammatical rules, right? Also, we are talking about the language competence, right? Competence versus performance, right? The psychological rules, some psychological factors take into role. The principle actually address more about social factors. The rules can be acontextual versus principles, which actually are contextual, right? So like just now, we see, how humor occurs, right? So in the context. The last one is grammaticality. So that is to say, we focus on the, correctness of a certain, whether this specific, for example, sentence conform to our language norms, right? Or in linguistic or grammatical rules, right? While, so for principles, we talk more about this one, acceptability. So whether it is appropriate, it is acceptable, say, in discourse, right? You can say something correct, but maybe this correct sentence is not appropriate or it's not acceptable in this situation.
It is grammatically correct, but it cannot be interpreted, or the meaning is not clear, something like that.
Both.
Oh.
I think both. Yeah. It definitely can, mean both. Especially like the acceptability. I'm thinking about even in some social context. If we have the different people, from different cultures, they may have some maybe taboo, for example, about some topic, and then you speak perfectly English, totally correct. That is, of course, follow those rules, but that might not be appropriate. So this is really a good slide. I hope you can kind of go back and refer to your chapter again if you have any questions. The last thing, I would like you to do some exercises. So every time, if you finish your book chapter, you always are given the self-studies activities, right? So I would like you to discuss these activities with your partner, okay? For online students, please do on your own, okay? These self-study activities would be helpful for your understanding, okay? So today I would like the face-to-face class students discuss in class. So later, when I finish, then we will be discussing another part that is the terms. The terms we actually discussed in this chapter. If you take a look at this first page of chapter 1, we have several key terms listed here, right? So once after our face-to-face students finish self-study activities, then you go back to discuss the key terms. Then I think we're done, right? So for those of you who are online, so I will say goodbye. So I hope you enjoyed this week's lesson, and I will see you next week. Thank you.